Okay. Uh, I think we'll just get started now. I'm sure we'll have a couple people hopping in after the fact, and we'll catch them up afterwards. So thanks to all who are attending. I'm Brent Rogers. I'll further introduce myself right now, but I'll be taking us through this digital trends webinar. Here at Greenland, I'd like to do these webinars at least once a quarter. Just what's the latest going on digitally? What are the latest trends? And that's kind of what we're going to go through today. So we'll just kick it off right into it and get started. If you do have questions on the way, Nicole from our team is here in the background, and she can answer some questions, or she will also alert me to answer any questions you have again on the way. So, agenda for today, I'll introduce Greenline a little bit more for those of you who are unaware of who we are. We'll talk about Google Analytics 4, digital trends. There's a lot of information going on about Google Analytics 4 right now versus Universal Analytics, Google Performance Max, and the beta testing of that new platform, data integrations in the cookieless world, and then we'll talk about Google and Bing vehicle ads, and then finish up with some Q&A. So Greenland Automotive, who are we? Digital agency, specifically, targeting automotive. So we have two divisions. We have a non-automotive division and a automotive division of basically equal size. Where did we come from? My background is heavy automotive. I was working at a large car dealership group for, I want to say, about 10 years in Chicago, running everything from operations to marketing. Ultimately grew frustrated with what we were sold in the automotive space, and that's kind of where Greenland Automotive came from. So we're a tech-enabled digital agency. What we try to deliver is tier 1 experience down to tier 3 dealers, very heavy in automotive. So what you see for some of our dealer groups there, we have some OEM relationships where we actually manage the tier 1 spend. So the expertise and account management discussions that you get with us are very different than you get with some of the template providers that are out there in the world. So that's really what we try to solve for in a nutshell. What's the big Greenland difference? Transparent flat fee, very low account to staff ratio for focused attention, completely custom account setup. So we set everything up to your market, to your brand, whether you're an independent or a standard franchise dealership, everything's set up for you. Latest in automation and tech integrations, very robust experience across the team. Everybody is very heavy automotive background. And then we focus on long-term relationships. So we do not try to sign up every single dealership in town. We try to have key partners, and then we do not take on your competition. So all of those things are kind of what makes Greenline different as an agency. And then very last, just all of our services are the ones you would expect, with digital agencies that you see from a lot of our competition. So anything from paid search, conversion rate optimization, e-commerce, accessory sites for selling, niche automotive accessories. We handle, radar detector companies. We handle, the OEM. So pretty much anything you can think auto, we touch in any single channel, OTT, analytics, everything. And so our experience touches basically any channel. So if I don't touch on anything and you have some questions about it, we're going to send this deck over at the end, and you can contact us, and we're happy to talk to you through any questions you might have that I don't touch on today. Integrations right now, because that's kind of the next big topic that's happening. So data integrations, why are we talking about it? We're sort of solving for the cookieless world. Everybody's talking about the world going cookieless, and there's a few reasons how we got here. So how do we get to this space is, Facebook and the Cambridge, which is now Meta, and the Cambridge Analytica scandal that happened over, some of the more recent presidential elections. The European Union going into GDPR, or General Data Protection Regulation, which is very strong. Unlike the United States, you're very cautious about privacy over there. Here, it's definitely the wild, wild west. Last year, Apple updated to their iOS 14 update, really, allowed opt-in. Your consumer had to opt into everything to continue remarketing, all those types of things, and then really just increase public demand for more privacy. And so why does this matter? All these things, why does this matter to us as dealers and as advertisers? It matters to us is because we've lost insight to some of our data. So digital, which is this very targeted world, we now have lost some of the users. We used to know specifically who we were going to target. So now that we don't have those in the platforms like we used to, we need to solve for that through data. And that data can be provided through a couple different types of integrations. So you have first-party examples, first-party data, second-party data, and third-party data. Examples of first-party data are your CRM, your DMS, customer lists, And so, what do you get from that? You get recently sold or serviced customer lists. You get service defection data. You get off-lease customers. You get targeting for things such as, let's say you sold somebody a few used cars, but then they go to search for CarMax. You can target CarMax for specific users, even though you wouldn't normally go by that term. But if you may buy that term for a user who has bought 3 cars from you. So you can do very good things with your first party data from your DMS and CRM. You have a ton of information as dealers, and utilizing it in your advertising now is much more important than it ever has been. And it's going to continue to be that important. So, and I'll touch on a case study, about using first party data and using your own data as a dealer here shortly. Other data examples that exist are second party data. So purchase customer lists, that's kind of going away a little bit now that privacy is increasing. It's much harder to buy a customer list other than things for like direct mail. OEM, like a lot of Chevy or General Motors dealers, I should say, they share manifest lists to you, and you can use those manifest lists to do targeting your advertising. So that's the second party data example. And then, very last is third party examples. So Polk data, Oracle data, so someone who owns a Volvo, someone who owns a specific Volvo model, they own an S80 or whatever, or an XC90, and you can target them accordingly. Equifax third-party data integration, so you can get credit score information. Still can advertise credit scores within Meta. You just have to use data partnerships to do so. And then, of course, demographic sources such as income levels and those kind of things. So all of these data integrations are going to be more and more important from here moving forward. And that's really what you need to know as a dealer. As the world goes cookieless, what does that all mean? It just means that you're going to have some other expense via data integrations, but there's some benefits to that too. One, you're going to guarantee that you keep the targeting that everyone else has lost. So if you're a cutting edge dealer and you want to ensure that you're targeting better than anyone else, integrating with these data sets will keep you ahead of everyone else who doesn't take these steps. Specifically on first party, third party, most are doing. We've been doing it for our dealers for the last 2 years, if not longer than that. But first party is a relatively new thing. And just talking more about first party data performance. So when you integrate with your first party data, what are you going to get as a dealer? Well, one, if you look at the campaigns, a very large case study. This case study was not ours. This was done by Driven Data. I want to give them credit for it. They are one of our partners for integrating with your first party data direct from CRM, so you don't have to send lists back and forth. But if you look at new vehicle campaigns, when you use your first party data, click-through rate goes up 70%. Your cost per conversion is 70% cheaper or less expensive. You look at your service campaigns, 317% increase in your click-through rates, 218% increase in conversion rate down to a service appointment from just saying, oh, let's run a service campaign versus run a service campaign to my customers first, then fill in prospecting. And that's the big difference of using first party data. You can maintain your customer base or your service defection. You get these types of metrics from it. If you look at Facebook and Meta campaigns, 113% increase to return on ad spend, 82% cheaper customer acquisition costs. So the cost of integrating the first party data, which is usually depending on the vendors, and there's several available. I don't want to act like we're the only ones. There's many available to you, and you should vet them all and look into it. The cost of those campaigns is saved through the performance, but also this very last box of budget savings. So one key thing that does happen in advertising space, automotive and non-auto, is let's say I go online and I go to Home Depot and I buy a product, and I say that because I just had shopped at Home Depot the other day. I'm still being followed around by the same campaigns. And so although I've purchased, they didn't create what's called a suppression list. And so once someone buys a car for automotive, we should stop serving them a sales ad at that point. And the study found, again, Driven Data study, I don't want to take credit for it, that a 15% budget savings, or 15% of your, better said, 15% of your budget is wasted serving ads to consumers that you just sold a vehicle to or that just serviced yesterday. And so not only do you get the benefit of, oh, target someone with a service defection message, you get the benefit of not targeting someone you just serviced. And now you can take that budget and you can use it more effectively. You can put it towards finding that next prospect who's going to sell, you're going to sell a car to, or that next service customer who had been servicing with your competitor. And so the savings and the performance is definitely worth the money on integrating with first party data. So the to-do here that we have is really consider an automated first party source. That's a key call out, that it should be automated. Do not take emails and send your customer lists back and forth to your agency. You can be sued for that if anyone catches you. And as you know, class action lawsuits, there are attorneys that are looking for that kind of thing. You want to make sure that everything is encrypted and protected. So when you look at a first party source, some of the costs of doing that is well worth the money to never be sued for it, because the cost per issue, if you ever do get caught emailing customer data back and forth, is pretty severe. So I would see some presentations. We can show a presentation if you're interested after the fact. Obviously, we're happy to do so. But there are many good partners out there that do exist, and it's worth asking about. So if you have a great relationship with your existing agency, obviously we'd be happy to talk to you, but if you have a great relationship with them, I would definitely ask them about the first party source data that they can get and how they solve for it, because it's vitally important to you as a dealer. Second point is just be ready for some increased third-party data costs. So as less available is in the systems, it's kind of already hit the Facebook or the metaverse, if you will, but it's definitely hitting Google as well. And so as the data becomes less available, there's more of that bulk data, that Oracle data, Equifax, et cetera, that you're going to need to use in your advertising. And there'll be some costs associated. They should be very nominal costs. You're talking $100 to $200 a month to have the data set piping into your advertising. If you're being charged much more than that, you're probably getting gouged for data on the third party side. So, key point is watch those costs, but also ask your current agency how they're solving for those couple items, because it is definitely important to keep you on the cutting edge on digital, or your digital is going to just start to underperform or just not perform how it used to. Okay, well, with that, then, we will follow up with this deck. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to me directly. Brent@greenland.nyc is my email. You also have our entire automotive team and leaders are under automotive@greenland.nyc that also copies me. We will share this recording in this deck. Check us on social media, check our site for that. Everything will be, published after the fact, but definitely, some quick information, a lot in a short time period. I hope it was really beneficial for all. Thank you for your time, and we will follow up with all information after the fact. So thank you again. Bye.